Fnatic are in a position to set up well.
Oh, we're in game. We're in game. Okay, over to you, Mitch and Tom.
Sue trying to take all of the jobs, it seems. Like, coming in for our casting as well. She was like, they love Split, but I love it more. Just take it over.
Yeah, we've already had John taken down, one of the key players for NIP on this attack side. I mean, it's going to be a speed round if we've ever seen one. Fnatic over on this defense, starting it out on Split, and you can see there's 2 players. There's a Poison Orb down as well, so they've got a decent bit of slowing if NIP decide to blitz through onto the A site. But Heaven is wide open for the taking. There's the flash, information going their way. Now it's time to win those duels, and Magnum's in trouble. He's gone down, but these players are tagged up, and Boaster's taking advantage for 2. That's the man advantage still to play with for Fnatic. Well, that's not quite the TP he was looking for, but it's good because BNJ can then plant the spike, and maybe he'll go up thereafter. Probably not. Hopefully not, because Fnatic are already waiting, and Mystic's picked off his teammate. Oh, well, good night.
It's not the round for Shadow Steps. It's not the round.
No, it hasn't quite done him any favors on that one. There's Fearoth getting the defuse. Well, maybe not. There's Hyber getting the defuse. Both of those players topping out the scoreboard overall in the last map. They lost 13-7, and yet these super subs of Fearoth and Hyber were doing a lot of the heavy lifting. We'll see if that's gonna be the same here on Split. It certainly needs to be, because this is comfort ground for NIP.
Yeah, one of the things that is going to be interesting, I will say it's not necessarily an agent that I think that, oh, you're really going to struggle like having to pick that one up, but Fearoth is known for his Sova. Now, this is obviously a map where, okay, a few teams test Sova out here and there, but he's having to fill in on the Sage. I don't think it's going to be a massive problem, because it is one of those agents where I feel like a lot of the utilities fairly simplistic, fairly basic, but it's something I'll definitely keep an eye on, because the composition's changed a little bit, maybe just to give Boaster a little bit more space to almost take those aggressive fights, but more so, I think it could also get them that extra information so that Fearoth can actually place his utility a little bit better at times.
Well, with that first round under their belt, Fnatic now face off against
a force
fight. And NIP have quickly taken it into Heaven. That is Fnatic caught off guard again. Mystic's gonna have to... Oh, no. Wow. That paranoia was perfect, and it even just confirms that he's here. They blitz in from all angles and take him down. Another fantastic execute from NIP. The way these guys apply pressure, you can see that Fnatic just cannot keep up with this pace.
Remaining.
Jandy already looking like he's put the nail in the coffin. It's left all onto Boaster. 1 versus 4, and well, not really getting the luck that he was probably hoping for, spamming in that smoke. This is the one thing I will say you have to love watching about NIP. Fearless, investing straight back into the round, knowing that they can try and put the pressure straight back onto Fnatic, especially playing on that attacking side. Making sure you get off to a strong start is always going to be important, building up that economy. And oh no, don't do it. Don't do it. I thought he was going to get knifed. Instead, he's just kind of sat on his head.
Well, that's one way to do it.
What?
First round for NIP found here on the attack. That's a force by round 2. That has found a lot of success. And, well, I mean, that spells exactly the sort of... the walls just going up again and again. Yeah, it spells a big problem for Fnatic. If they're going to be caught off like that, round 2 coming in, NIP having had the success on the previous map and the confidence that they had onto Shanji, onto John, it's no surprise that they force buy like that, but it certainly looked like Fnatic weren't expecting it.
No, that's for sure. And again, this is a style that, although I think NIP at times can be quite readable, I don't think it's necessarily something Fnatic are going to be used to playing. Like, you think of the likes of FPX, this slow, defaulty style of play, working things out with different pieces of information, slowly picking you apart, and NIP are just like, let's go.
There's very few teams that will play the game the way NIP just did in that round, especially with the pace that they've come in. And I don't know if they would have done that had the previous map had seen less success from those kind of plays. And I think in EMEA, I think most teams that play like that are pretty bad. So you're not going to be in a... if they're blitzing you down like that in a force buy, they're not going to have the success. But these NIP guys are unbelievable. I mean, just the entry ability of Shanji and John alone blows my mind. Coming to round number 3, as you can see, Fnatic aren't going to have the same force buy. It's just pistols. And they've successfully gambled on the right side here for NIP. Moving into the A side, it's wide open, Boaster's down, and now they can just play ranged duels.
Yeah, and the thing for Fnatic here is almost, do you even want to try and give these players the chance to actually farm up their ultimate orb, or if you want to try and die to the spike? Like, you can try and hold them in on the way out, make some cash of your own, maybe get rid of some of the weaponry, but if you're just facing into them, this is just farming for the side of NIP, and that just looked a little disjointed. If you're going to invest that paranoia, I want to see it done so that other players can push onto it, not just as a final sort of like, hey, maybe I'll get a kill.
That could have been very bad as well. We saw those final kills picked up by Besney and by BNJ. So, yeah, okay, you're Cypher and you're Omen. That's fine.
Yeah.
Give them the ult orbs because you've actually got Shanji just 2 away from his ultimate. He's currently sitting 5 kills and 1 death. And then you look at Kawazine. He's also in the same position, about to have his ulti online. And, you know, with a Prime Gaming Flawless on top of that, it's not just the ult economy that's overflowing. NIP have got plenty of credits here as well.
Yeah, and there's not going to be a change. Straight away, Paranoia are up so that they can take control in towards the heaven. Magnum just spams through, though, and already finds the opener. Shanji quick up front and almost manages to take the pick, but it's a slaughter up top, leaving just one man standing. Now, BNJ, he's been good at clutches. He's been pretty good, Mitch, but it's not happening.
No. You know, this is a round I can 100% get behind for NIP. I think that play clearly didn't work, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't take a genius to say that, but the reality is they've had success from these blitz plays so often that, yeah, you just throw those
You sure we don't need to tell us,
try to close in. Maybe we do, actually. Yeah, we could probably break it down a little bit, you know. What I will say, though, is Magnum Snakebite, fantastic. He's ready for that blitz play to come through, whether it was going to be the dash out of John, whether it was Blast Pack play coming out of Shanji. It didn't matter. That Snakebite was going to catch them. He sprays down afterwards, and even if the player comes through, he's going to get tagged down by the wall. It's an easy kill with so many players up in heaven. It was a well-handled round, but that was a blitz that Fnatic were ready for. And we've already seen what happens when they're not ready for them. So this is going to have to be high alert from this point forward, because remember, they've only dealt with the bonus round at this point.
I feel like BNJ is basically just spending his time trying his best to bait them into swinging him, and the rest of the team, well, we got the spike. Like, we're not going to move, no reason to do anything. Calm and collected from Fnatic, and it's a Prime Gaming Flawless right back. So there you go. Both teams going to be doing decently in terms of their economic position going into the next round, but this is where we expect to see the Ninjas actually look to break back. They're going to have the rifles very close to a couple of fairly impactful ults on their side as well. And for Fnatic, okay, you've got yourself the Seekers already available, and potentially a Viper's Pit. They could somehow get an orb, but realistically, I'm much more looking at the likes of the Rez and the Showstopper, which will soon be coming up for NIP.
Yeah, as we said, they were just 2 away in the previous round. No kills, no orbs, no plans for them moving into the previous, so...
And they still got service. You gonna let that one sit?
I think so. Let it breathe.
Mystic in a very aggressive position. They did not expect it to be in. I don't know what the exit strategy was, though. Just a very one-and-done position for him, which, okay, it might catch them off guard. And as I said, they've got the res, so it doesn't really play much in this round whatsoever. And for the remainder, you can already see Hyber still trying to be a little bit more aggressive, and Fearoth as well, just attempting to slow them down. But, well, he's going to have to do an awful lot. It does seem, however, that they've got a good read, because Boaster's already rotating into position.
Big problem, though. There's that other ultimate we mentioned, and it's looking for some players. Oh, he's found them as well. Goodbye, Fearoth. And maybe the spray down. Sure, Shanji doesn't get it, but his teammates converted. The site's theirs, and it looks like the round might be 1v4 now with just Boaster left alive, and he loses his head quite quickly. This is NIP. A stranglehold on the game right now. Fnatic came in, they find a couple of rounds, but when it comes to weapons in their hands, NIP look convincing, and now, thanks to that Prime Gaming Flawless, Fnatic will still be able to buy at least. So it's a lifeline in the early stages of the defense.
Yeah, and now they have all of the ultimates as well. So it likely will swing back in their favor. I think the main problem I have is it almost seemed like a misread on the ultimates that were on the other side. Like, if you're going to have Mystic that aggressive with no backup plan, if he gets a kill and goes down, okay, it's not the end of the world. But if they have a res, it's worthless.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, in a situation like that, I'm expecting him to almost paranoia. But for him to do that, he needs to have a player peeking out from vents. He needs to have a player coming out from heaven. And Hyber was stuck behind the smoke. He wasn't able to assist. So really, it was good counter by NIP as well to make sure those angles were constantly cut off. This time, smoke goes down, same place, but NIP are going to play right through it. They want to try to take this control. Reactions there from Fearoth to put the slow on the floor, but that doesn't keep NIP back. Not for long anyways. The nade, it's not going to come through. In fact, they're just allowing these guys to make their way forward, and then Hyber pops the showstopper. A double kill for that man. That leaves BNJ all alone. And he is found and taken down. Fnatic with a third. That's a round they needed.
Yeah, I like the fact that they play things a little bit more passively into Heaven. Like, they have the slows coming through from Fearoth, which means that the risks that have to be taken from NIP are quite a bit higher as they start to push through that utility. But then you also just have the nice little crossfire from down below, which isn't cleared, and obviously the showstopper definitely helped. But NIP are going to take themselves as a tactical timeout. Now, as said, them being on the attacking side, I do think that with this composition, they have a lot more sort of fast-paced setups, which means I will expect them to get a higher amount of attacking rounds than you might normally see. But as we've seen on this map in the past, you can definitely get very aggressive on the defense as well. So if they don't get, like, say, 5 or 6 rounds, it's not going to be, like, the end of the game, but I would be a little bit more worried for them.
This is where things can get a little scary now with a timeout called. You're seeing a lot of words coming out there from the NIP coach, and this puts them in a spot where I'm expecting early aggression to come through. I'm expecting blitz plays and pressure on Fnatic. But you have to remember, on the Fnatic side, there's a lot to consider at this point. They're going to come back into this round, and let's say you go for some early map control. Well, Fnatic have got a res, so you better make sure that where you're killing that player, you're risking your teammate's life for something worthwhile. For map control you can hold on to and deny the res coming back through. Seeker's online as well for any late round play. But the beauty is, I believe the Viper's Pit was put down in the last round. And well, I see it's no longer online, which then obviously is a huge positive for NIP, knowing that there's not going to be a part of the map, which typically will be middle, just locked down from the get-go.
Yeah, especially with a couple of other ults basically being either reactive or information, I guess, for the side of Fnatic. I don't think that it will be the most defining factor in this one. By the looks of things, though, there might be an early one-way being set up over on B, so I wouldn't be overly surprised. He's actually fake TP'd to bait them into thinking that he's gone aggressive. That's Mystic over on the B side, so almost faking that information, and in fact, for now at least, we're going to see them doubling back to try and put some pressure on aim. Maybe because they know they've lost that control, or it could just be a coincidence.
Yeah, you never know. But what I do know is Hybrid's about to take a fight. He's up above in Heaven, and he's got a teammate, Boaster, covering the cross. I think he's playing reactive on the back of Boaster's flash once he sees them come across. There's the flash, it pops, nade going down, and there's a player coming up close to him, but after seeing that nade, they've decided to back on off. Moving to the A site through main, walling off Heaven. That's Control going their way. John taking a bit of a risk going back out, but Hybrid narrowly misses the shot, keeping NIP into a 5v5. Oh, Mystic! He's been caught. Great game sense from BNJ.
Yeah, he tries to TP back and it just doesn't work out. They've still got to try and clear this man, and again, that's just so difficult. BNJ just a rock at the back of the site, and well, the problem now is they've had to invest this res and they still haven't got rid of him. He's even just going to maneuver elsewhere, and they haven't cleared John. He just sits in the corner, leaving Fearoth all alone to try and clutch it once again, and BNJ even gets that final kill. He is so difficult just to maneuver from different positions, and well, Fnatic completely fail at clearing just one man.
Yeah, again and again, BNJ just seems to make the impossible happen. I don't know how this guy is able to keep control. Look at the previous map, A site. On the back side, he had so many clutches there. This time around, he's holding down their back, then TPing screens, and finishing off the round by trading out Fearoth. Altogether, that's BNJ's round. He has dominated it and left Fnatic in a pretty tough spot where, again, their economy is just in the bin.
Yeah, the thing I really like as well is that although the focal point of that round is always going to be BNJ, it's the manner and what the other team are doing. Like, note how towards the end of that round, John is holding a spot that you would never really hold in a normal position because they've already managed to take a round through screens. Like, they know that that position is already clear. They've spotted the rest of the retake, all making their move around towards the ramp. So then the rest of the team, while BNJ is just doing his thing, they go, okay, let's reclaim the rest of that map control, and now John can play in a position that you're never ever going to play in a retake because we know that those spots are clear. It's easy to just focus on someone like BNJ going ham, but the rest of the team weren't just sitting there going, go on, bud, you've got this one, we'll just sit here and watch. Like, they're all reactively moving at the same time, and that's why it's so difficult to actually play against them, because they are not a team that I think works well in sitting back when a team is trying to retake. Sure. They are a team that are very proactive, and it's shown in their comp, because if you try and sit back with this comp, you're screwed.
I'll tell you what, this is genuinely, and I think Jess made a great point. It's like rolling back the years, man. Going back to old G2, essentially, when it comes to NIP, with the way you're seeing insanely strong individuals. They've got a good game plan. I don't know how good their pivoting is, but they haven't needed to so far. They are reacting perfectly off each other in these rounds. Like you said, BNJ TPs into screens, and immediately John repositions based on that. It is split-second decision-making that is ultimately showing to be a well-oiled, maybe Puggy machine when we came into the tournament, but I doubt that even now. This is clean gameplay. And when you look at Fnatic, the way that you want to beat a style like NIP is with hard structure, and unfortunately with limited time to prepare and 2 stand-ins, it's not exactly possible to come in and be the most structured team. And again, they had the best chance of being that team on Ascent. Now they're on Split, where NIP wanted to play, and it's a completely different ballgame like we're seeing.
Again, information-wise, they've spotted Janji in mid, but this has been a fairly... for that, so they're just going to walk straight in dry, but Feroth only gets 1.
They know Mystic's on the back of the side as well from that paranoia, so he's going to be taken down immediately. Hyber might want to try to blitz on site, but look who's waiting for him. John's in the corner. Oh, blast pack to try to push him into the nade. That's cheeky. Destiny's being caught on the mid lurk too. This opens up an avenue of approach for Fnatic, at least, still having Magnum online as they move towards the site, but that wall's already being used up. Utility's going to be limited. Snakebite to site doesn't find them. Good spam, but not following through for the kill. And John's still alive down below, although he'll be dealt with. Magnum in the 1v1 to try and clutch this out, but it's BNJ again on the other side of that smoke. He's tucked into the right, and Magnum won't catch him. NIP get away with another 5-3. We now sit. This attack side just keeps racking up the rounds.
Yeah, you can almost see the slight difference, even though they managed to win the round. The fact that they were playing that one more passively and lost their luck a little bit earlier on, it definitely seemed like Fnatic had much more of an opportunity in this sort of position. Luckily, you still just have someone like John able to just win these individual fights, and it was only because Magnum actually pulled out 3 kills that that one even became particularly close. And now you start to get into real dangerous territory for Fnatic. 5-3 down, no economy to really play with in this round. Okay, you've got yourself a Viper's Pit, and I think they might actually throw it in. I'm seeing a Spectre onto Magnum. It seems peculiar to buy that if you're not actually going to use the ult.
It could be to set himself up as well, though, if they want to play a retake at some point. I like the fact that they play early aggression and don't just gamble, hold down one part of the map with it. But now that you've not seen them, you know, those rotations have to start coming through, and they are. Question is, are NIP going to commit to the B side? I'd be quite surprised. They haven't found a pick. They're not seeing Fnatic trying to really keep them back or even take those fights on range.
Look at this reaggress.
Now they're realizing there's probably a push out of the defense here. NIP are going to catch it.
They're right on the edge of them. Only a couple to play. Like, this is definitely going to be a surprise. And bear in mind, Magnum's the one with the gun in hand. So the first player going down isn't so much of a problem. Shandy, I think he's aware. He's baited him in, but Magnum will win the fight anyway, and then fall back to try and put this pressure onto B once again.
John still tucked in the corner. Look at that. The timing was perfect to distract Mystic, pulling his crosshair away. Nade and Snakebite down to the site, but the spike has made it out successfully, and BNJ waiting in middle to catch that rotation. Finds massive results for that. Hyper got to do it all, and he realizes now that they're rotating. Honestly, he probably just tries to grab a weapon here from one of those downed enemies. I don't even know if he'll want to go for it once he gets that in hand.
Oh, it doesn't seem like he is. He's just going to run back towards the site, maybe try and catch someone else, make things a bit more costly. The one thing that isn't really there at the moment for NIP is that extra economy. So any extra kills he can get could at least make the latter rounds of the half a little bit tougher. They're going to know exactly where he is if BNJ doesn't give him the time of day. Already dropped 6-3 in favor of the Ninjas, and Fnatic, well, they need a turnaround right now because this is already getting way too far out of control.
Yeah, it really is. You know, the defensive side is split. To tie up is really not ideal, and that's the best case scenario right now, the base result for Fnatic. 10 seconds left. Take a look at what they're going to be buying up when we get back in. There you go. They got their rifles to play with. They've got still that Viper's Pit, having not been invested previous round. This time a bit of a change, though. So you see Magnum right away is willing to put this one down.
Yeah, just opting to try and lock down this side of the map. I don't think that's really going to deter NIP too much. In fact, you can already see a couple of players trying to pressure it, but they've had so much success at being able to shut down Mystic on this B site as the solo defender. Like, I really don't think that so far his Omen has really worked out for him, at least on the last couple of maps. So they've been trying to find if he's looking to get cheeky, looking to get aggressive, but in this round at least it's much more passive from Fnatic.
Yeah, you see that even in the orb control, Tom. I mean, they gave it up completely in B main. We've had the orb taken by Kawenzine, who's now one away from getting the res back up again. And this is a big concern. 2 players still towards the A side of the map holding down this control. And NIP are going to be doing what has worked for them again and again, splitting in through Heaven and trying to fight the B site. They need a ton of utility, but they don't really. They sort of waited back for it. Showstopper not finding it, but he still gets the kill down below. This is unbelievable. There just seems to be nothing that NIP can do wrong.
No, what he did was wrong. It was disgusting. I feel gross, but like it's just the way that he flies into the site. The Showstopper gets absolutely nothing because of all of the counter utility, and then just has that reaction instant headshot. Like that's a desk breaker. Like someone's just hit a loud bang on the stage with a punch through the desk, because ultimately, at least in the early stages of that round, Fnatic didn't do anything wrong, but then NIP just come and break their whole setup apart.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely unbelievable. The fact that you see him fire the Showstopper, fly through the air down below, being shot at the whole way, and then land and stylishly just tap away, take the kill. Like, oh, were you shooting me, bro? Sorry about that. NIP hunting down the final rifle. Magnum is surrounded from all sides. He's paranoid up and about to be dropped on. Oh, I can't even get out with the weapon. 7 rounds secured for NIP, and look at Fnatic's economy. When we get back out of this, you'll see they're not in the prettiest of spots.
Yeah, and on the other side, they're not in a bad place at all. Like, sure, they've been taking casualties here and there, but that round was definitely cleaner, and especially in the manner in which they sort of blasted their way in towards the site, like, you kind of expect them to take more of a hit there. Like, they basically pushed into a slow where there had just been a nade and still managed to get a double entry into the site, and that is just the force of the 2 players that you currently have in the form of Xiandi and John. Like, the fact that they are able to just still get those opening kills for their squad, and I think that's the real issue. Like, we talk about reliance. I believe there was a tweet that we saw where it was like, team's reliance on their individual, or on their star performer, that was it. And I think with Fnatic, Dirk was the highest. Like, it was something like, if he doesn't get, I think it was like 275 ACS in a map, there's like a 60-something% chance they'll lose, which is absurd. It was so much higher than everyone else.
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. And you look at what they're missing coming into this. They brought it up on the desk that it's big boots to fill, really, when it comes to...
Impossible boots to fill.
Oh, absolutely. He is literally statistically
They have completely different size feet, Mitch.
What size are Dirk's feet? Who's got bigger feet?
Oh, his have to be like a size 17.
You reckon?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The man's packing.
So,
feet.
now, listen, we're back into the game, and the HUD's been on and off. I almost hope this is a bug. Why are there 3 judges?
Oh, no. It's not even Bucky FC anymore. There's one. There's one.
Boaster is.
I like how it's your man who's the only sane one within the bunch.
Thank you, Fearoz. Why? Oh my God! Oh my God, Boaster!
Oh, no.
I hate it. I hate it so much. They haven't checked it. They're running through. Oh, Boaster! He's only good for the 1. That could have been massive, but 1 kill found. Fnatic on the back foot again.
Now what are you gonna do? The double judge Bucky retake. Things you never want to see. Oh, well, Bezany is not going to be happy with that one. Mystic now he's looking for the ultimate clutch. This would be the biggest flex of his entire career if he was able to somehow pull this one home, and unfortunately, NIP are just giving him no chance.
I would have booked NIP's flight home if they lost this 1v3, to be honest. I would have been sat outside the venue in the truck ready to drive them to the airport. You can't lose a 1v3 to a judge, and NIP make that very clear. Shanji with a 3K to close this out. That puts him in a world where he could have a showstopper if this round goes crazy. But realistically, at 8-3, it's not like NIP are clutching for straws. They're not out here going, oh, we need a showstopper to win the round. And even this, they run in through the poison orb. They leave Boaster unchecked with a judge. He gets one.
It was so close to him getting so much more, which is the unfortunate truth of the matter. But the fact is, NIP already 8 rounds in the attacking side of Split. This is a dominant performance, whether you like it or not. And, well, for the players on Fnatic, I think a 4th is a lifeline at best.
Well, here comes the paranoia to start. They're worried about maybe a judge up close. I wonder why. Well, he's on the side already. Shanji's blast packing in, opening it up. John trades out. They've got site control. Magnum's going to try and contest.
Oh, no.
That was not pretty. Not pretty at all. 5 versus 2. Mystic grabbing a couple of kills. This maybe makes it doable. And Firot's one away from res.
Yeah, there's at least a possibility here. He's going to try and fake out the TP to the side. The problem is the wraparound. There is the kill for Firot. Now they can look to try and find the res, but he's dropped down. No! He's missed out the player, and he's still got caught, but he still manages to land the kills. What have I just witnessed? That's the ugliest clutch in VALORANT history, but it's a round on the board for Fnatic.
I'm looking at the wall, and it's making as much sense to me as the game was. What was that? How did that happen? Firot dropped down. He didn't even manage to res him. He spent literally
shake your hands in the air like you're a true player. That's the line, isn't it? That's what he was doing.
Literally, what, 10 seconds? He's jumping around with a res in his hand. He's just trying to res up on the balcony. That is unbelievable. What a round.
What does Doug think of that play?
Yeah, I'm going to need to hear from Doug for that one.
Doug?
Yeah, so the play was there, right?
Can you give us a rendition? Can you give me the move?
The move, well, I can't. But the move was made, and then the attempt was tried, and then
the thing happened.
And then the thing happened, right? And then and then that with the bullets. That was ugly.
I think it just summed up. I think it just summed up Fnatic right now.
Yeah, man.
Pretty much.
And then, like, wait, let's look at that one more time. And this actually, this feels
shake it, Firot.
This feels so.
He tried again.
So like poignant, right? Like this feels so fitting for what
is
the
happening.
series has looked like. Really, we were chatting about it here on the desk. The timings all look off. Right, like Fnatic's timings look off. They're not playing together. It's these little micro things that aren't lining up the way that they should. And meanwhile, Nip is just like full sending. They're having a good time. How many times did we see them updraft, dash into heaven, or double satchel up there to apply pressure? Right, like they're going for the jugular. They're not slowing down. And Fnatic, they look lost.
I have whiplash just looking at the POV when we switch to one of the Fnatic players, because you see someone blast pack in and then you hear the dash at the same time and you're like, which way do I look? Yeah. Which way do I look? There's a smoke there. My God, one of the mans that I'm talking dashing is John, and he has 2 of like the best buddies that a guy could ever have. B&J and Zhand right next to him. There is not a singular thing you can do when this trio is just dominating every part of the map. I mean, they're in that element right now, Doug. I don't think Fnatic could realistically even do anything to stop this.
No, it doesn't seem that's going to be very likely. I think for NIP, they have. I'm just excited to see Brazil finally have shown up to the international stage, and they look really freaking good. Yeah. Right? Like, now, is it a matchup thing? Perhaps, right? Maybe, like, perhaps against a stronger team that has a full roster. Is the outcome different? It's tough to say. But it's hard to look at how they just performed against Fnatic in the first map and then the first half of the second map and not think, all right, Nip.
The best thing I can say moving into the second half of this is that NIP have been able to replicate that fast play we saw on map number 1. This is something that they've improved on in mere days. It has been like a week and a half for them. They were the last team to qualify into this event here, and I have games that are in this exact month that I can go back to and go, oh, this doesn't look good, or rather even just weeks ago, and they were were slow. This is not it. I feel like I'm watching a different team, Doug. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm having a damn fun time watching it. And for Fnatic, you can't prep for this. I'm telling you what, because if they looked at the same VODs I did, Yinsu, they are looking at a completely different team in the server now, and that has got to be the most jarring thing for a player, a team, and an entire coaching staff to deal with.
I mean, to quote Platcher, I can feel the momentum building for Brazil. Maybe their first title. Doug, I feel like long time coming since the last time going into Iceland, Reykjavík 2021. I think everybody expected Brazil to do just this.
Yeah, but we've been expecting that for so long.
Sure.
We got it now.
Right, we're finally getting it. Yeah, we're finally starting to see that come through.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more. And also, let's see if Fnatic can actually find a response here, Mitch and Tom.
Well, it's time to really put everything they've got on the table.
Rounds?
Huh?
I thought I had a longer break.
I thought she was casting
the
this
pistol
one.
rounds.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to renegotiate after this one. Sort that one out.
I need to be paid more.
Yeah, it's all right. She's gonna go on a drink.
She's coming around now. Don't worry.
All right, she's on the way.
Okay.
I've got her headset ready. Let's get it done. We're at 8-4, coming back into things. Look, Fnatic got a lifeline, picking up that final round.
Come on, Sue.
God damn it. This is for Sue, isn't it? 'Cause she wasn't up here already?
Yeah.
We're waiting for her. Sorry, Fnatic. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
But look, 4 rounds for Fnatic. It's pretty terrible. I'm not going to lie about that. They're on the attack side now. This is going to be a huge uphill battle. And, you know, the main thing that worries me is defensive side John on Jet. Honestly, this guy found so much value on the previous map. It was obscene. He can't just run around headshotting everybody like that. Now we move on to the defensive side of this map, where NIP can feel more comfortable. It's their map pick. Literally, all of the data points to this being over in the next 15 minutes.
Well, the other thing as well
the
is...
tech balls is 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Hypog's not here. BNJ, he has been an incredible site anchor so far. Now, in most cases, he's going to be seen on the B site. He's going to have his little one-ways. He's going to be able to cheekily move around the site. Something that Mystic really struggled with. I don't think that's going to happen in the second half. Like, he has been someone I've been so impressed with just by his ability to stay alive for ridiculously long amounts of time. Now, if they're able to continuously switch up between him and Besney, who I also think has that ability, it then becomes quite a bit tougher. Are you trying to read his handwriting?
What's he saying? What's he writing down? Fearoth go kill? I think that's
Just
what
like,
I think that's what I saw.
Mitch man. Analyst.
The love heart, I'm sure, would be beside that for many, but...
And then he's just crossing it out.
Well, you can see that there's some conversations going on for sure moving into this pistol round. NIP, defensive side, we've already seen plenty of aggression out of them. We've seen that they love their frenzies, and a map like Split's only going to feed into that more for the close range duels. This man here on your screens, Shanji, not on your screens anymore. Beautiful glasses. You notice? I love them. I love anything that's like you take a piece of clothing you normally wear or an accessory, and look at that. It's completely different. There's like different stages to it. I don't know. I love them.
I will also say, like, especially when it comes to, like, I feel like the Japanese players and the Brazilian players, when it comes to just raw style, I'm just jealous.
Next
and
level.
then it's just me, the Brit, just like, yeah, I'm cool.
Tom, you're looking good today, man. You're looking good today, all right? Let's
but I
set
didn't,
that straight.
I didn't dress myself. That's the difference. Like, there are people employed to try and make me look
For the
worse.
people at home, we don't have stylists or anything here. Tom just needs assistance. I have to look after him in the morning. It's, you know, I'm sorry I put a trash bag on him one time, but it was what it was.
Did you have to cut the holes in it?
Yes.
It was so cold.
You said you were too warm. I was cooling you down, man. I was helping out. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I think at this point, NIP, they feel relaxed, and you can see it in their body language on the stage right now. This is the home stretch for them, really.
Yeah.
And coming in, the pressure is on again. We saw it on the previous map where Fnatic have 2. They come in, they win the pistol round. But you've got to follow it up with so much more than that, and the problems have been dealing with players like Shanji, who's activated now on this Raze. Honestly, I love this KO so much, though. I think those flashes were the best flashes I've seen in Valorant to date from a KO. And it was all for himself as well. I don't think we've even had to see him dive too deep into what he's able to do with that agent.
I think it's something as well that if you're Fnatic, like, I don't think you would have been predicting, because especially when you look at the rest of the map pool, it's not like you can go through like his different maps. Like, oh, okay, let's go to Bind. He plays Raze. Let's go to Haven. He plays Jet. Let's go to Split. He plays Raze. let's go to Ascent. He normally plays Jet. Oh, then you go to Icebox. He plays Jet. Then you go to Breeze. Oh, guess what? He plays Jet. And then you go to Fracture and Jet.
Oh.
So it's like you wouldn't have expected that coming in. Like, okay, there have been other players that have been sort of switching things up and rotating things around for the team. But the fact that he has taken that on his own back, I believe as well that they said that he was also calling. So the fact that, that this man is basically like just... Jandy is doing an incredible job with this squad.
He's getting information for them,
Yes.
right? He's their intel. He's their dualist, essentially. He's their initiator because he's flashing himself in.
Yeah.
So he's initiator for himself. He's just a team. He's his own team.
It's
And then there's another team with him.
/ NIP.
Yeah. He'll help them out occasionally, but for the most part, he is playing
And he
his
looks
own
good
game.
doing it.
Oh, he looks damn good doing it.
It's not
You're
fair.
right. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say when you said about the style, you look back at Zeta, who we had on the other day. Their coach, man, he came out dressed to impress.
I feel like that's the thing, though, because the coaches have to do the walkout, and then they stand side by side. If you're the coach on the other side, you just kind of look at yourself and go...
Dude, I was looking at myself. I was like, I don't want to... Don't put me on screen after that guy,
like,
please.
It's like, can we just have his full screen camera on for a little bit?
Pretend,
We'll just talk along whenever he moves his mouth. Just to...
There's always MBS as well from Ascend. He's always well dressed. He's always got his shirt on, coming out, means business.
Nice flowery shirt, yeah.
Always a little bit more flowery, a little bit more colorful. Well, look, Tom, I've heard in my ear the tech pause is resolved. We had to mess around with the server a little bit.
Shut up, Tom, but like maybe
that
we
was
just
me.
get fit.
That was sorry. Yeah, I just quickly hit the talk back for that. But look, 8-4. We're diving back into things at last. The tech pause has subsided. We've refreshed the server. They've unplugged it, plugged it back in, done that a few more times, and now we're ready to roll. The defensive side of NIP. Early aggression is what I'm expecting. I mean, this team is just overflowing with confidence right now, and they know that Fnatic don't have the protocols there to deal with the all-out aggression when they bring it to the table.
Yeah, the interesting thing as well is how the executions are actually going to go for Fnatic, because sure, you're going to have Hyber as the tip of the spear, but you can't really afford any level of mistakes because you know that NIP are going to be right on you if you have anything of the sort. Now, we're going to see an early aggressive camera. I imagine that was heard, but it's still just going to give the information. And the other information they get is from this double duelist mid-peak.
No more charges left.
You know, you say peak, right? They're having a little bit of a look.
They peaked.
They're gazing
They
down every
unpeaked.
so often. Yeah, they unpeaked right after. They're tucked in. And I'm kind of surprised. You know, I said early aggression is what I expect. I expect confidence off the bat, but NIP are clearly looking to close this out. They're not trying to mess around, not trying to give any advantage to Fnatic. And the pistol round really, it could be so valuable for this attacking side. It looks like we've got a fake being set up here with Boaster. Holding for any B main aggression. Probably going to pop his util in towards B. And they'll blitz out afterwards. They've got a decent setup for this as well. They're able to block out Heaven and use their wall to cross over. So not too bad.
He's pulled the rotation as well. Kawazin going to have an awful lot to do in just a moment's time, but he's put the slow down. He's bought himself at least a moment or two, and it looks like they're just setting up for the retake with the rest of the players still being able to run back. He's doing that with a classic, just tapping heads through the utility. And well, okay, sure, it will be the site taken from Fnatic, but again, look how fast that rotation's already come through.
Yeah, of course, you got John picking up Mystic there. Another frag for NIP as they gear up for this full push. Boaster trapped down in sewers. He's so far away. And the rest of the team's falling. Fearoth does his best, but only the one to be found initially. And that went exactly as you expected in the 1v4. NIP have picked up the pistol, and that is another nail in Fnatic's coffin with 9 rounds on the board now. What did Fnatic do? We saw NIP lose the first pistol and then force buy and completely overrun Fnatic, but I don't feel like we're going to see the same out of the attack side for Fnatic now.
The other thing as well is a lot of the force buy. Sure, plant, that's the main necessity, but you also like to get a few kills just because it gets you those extra few pieces of utility. They got 1 kill, so it's not like there's really any extra cash that they can play with if they're going to go for a force here. So I expect this one to be an eco. I don't really expect to see much put into the round whatsoever. And again, like, this is likely to put 10 on the board for that defensive side going in. Like, I wouldn't really be counting on any team to be able to bring that back. Especially not one when you look at Fnatic, who have desperately struggled in recent times to actually play on this attacking side. Bear in mind, the last time they played this map, Mitch, they got 0 rounds on the attack. And that was the first half.
Yeah, it's not great, actually. Yeah.
0 out of 12.
Yeah, and then you remember the
conversion,
previous
right?
one, you should do, it was 44 rounds. I think they got 3. Now, we then did see in overtime 10 attacking rounds in a row, but this time they can't afford to get 3 in regulation because in case anybody can't do the math, they will have lost.
Yeah. This is certainly not the easiest of games for Fnatic, and we know all the issues that they're dealing with, but NIP is the main issue. Now look, 1 kill on the board already is decent, but Fnatic need to get more out of it.
What John is.
Like, the man's a lunatic. He honestly, he's deranged. He just runs at them and takes map control with sheer confidence. And the thing is,
Have you seen Rogue One?
Yeah.
If you think the guy's
30
like, I'm one
seconds
with the
left.
Force is with
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
And just
just
walks
walk
out in front of, I am one with the Force
Yeah.
is with me. Just walks out in front of all of the bullets. That's John.
it's unreal. Here he is catching the rotate. Hey, Mystic. Oh, a little tag, and he's dashing into him. Of course he is.
Hey, he wants to get that Blade Storm. He's trying to edge towards it at least. And
10 seconds.
well, the remaining players, if anything, on Fnatic just have to die. Boaster's found 1, but at this point, yeah, going down is the more important thing just to make sure he gets that additional cash. Now, all in all for an eco for Fnatic, Mitch, it's not bad. Considering the scoreline, I imagine they would have hoped they could have got a little more.
Yeah, look, it's definitely, it is still going to be one of those rounds that you can shrug off and brush off. But
Yeah.
at 10-4, you're running out of any sort of runway. At this point, Fnatic need to step it up, and this is a very important round because in the previous game we saw a similar situation to this where NIP, where they were in a much worse spot even. They had 2 Spectres and then they had a few pistols, ragtag group of pistols to back them up. For Fnatic, they were on a full buy and they got destroyed. I think, was it a flawless round that we saw then? It was very close to anyways. The point being, they better win this round right now, and NIP get to use these weaker weapons on the defense so they can hold these nasty angles and try to initiate on their own terms.
Just looking at John's position, just sat in the smoke. He almost wins that duel. Feroz has to actually heal himself back, but luckily it was only a Spectre on the other side, so they will get off to a strong start. This is a current crunch on mid. Like, they know that there's that extra piece of utility. Jandy waiting patiently for anybody to go for that peek, and more importantly, they are going to spot both players currently in towards Heaven, but that might actually almost convince them to go back towards Jandy, which is, I feel like that's a worse decision, just because it's him.
Yeah. Also, there's 3 players on this A side of the map. Obviously, no way for Fnatic to know that. Great flash. Gonna be moving over to the B side. Good call by Fnatic. They're playing this one blind.
Close to hyper.
No need for that now. Boaster's going to be sending some angry messages. I don't think Boaster can get angry. I think it's possible. That's the plan secured, at least for Fnatic. And now 5 versus 4, NIP will try to just do what damage they can.
Yeah, chances of much, slim, but they do still have the paranoia. That's why he sat outside the back of the site. He's looking to just try and almost create an incredibly awkward position for the remaining players of Fnatic as the rest of his team come through. Now, they've got to try and break the wall up top, which is going to give information that there's at least players wrapping back around. And they are all kind of locked into the site. Now, sure, they had the exit through B. There's the paranoia. Feroz has to drop down, but he has cover. And that's the main thing. B&J, though, actually wins that battle. They can't really lose too much more. Bear in mind how many buy rounds are probably going to come back through, and there was a chance for B&J to do some real damage. But again, a couple of kills. It's not bad for NIP, but Fnatic are just going to be happy to get away with that relatively clean.
Yeah, look, Mystic almost went down in the end, and that would have been a tragedy. If they lost him as well, this economy would be completely crippled coming into this round. And even still, it's not in the healthiest of spots, but they can drop over and have a full buy. Again, though, the problem becomes with that little bit of damage that NIP did, they're going to be able to push Fnatic into a pretty uncomfortable spot if they win this round, which, again, NIP are going to come in with rifles to play with. And everybody on that defensive side is damn close to having their ult online.
This is more of what we expected. Wall early on A to just lock out that portion of the map. And then on the other side, John is gone through, but actually Feroz still swings it anyway. The flash, I don't think actually gave the information that he was there, but it did catch his teammate, and that's a little bit more awkward. This patient play from Fnatic has given them that early duel that they wanted, and now they're just still waiting. They're expecting this to be more of a domino effect, Mitch, where someone else is eventually going to swing.
Yeah, and normally that does come through, but I think at this point, NIP have definitely shown their willingness to take these rounds incredibly slow. which has surprised me immensely. Considering the way that the game has gone so far, the way their attack side went, every time that they go for space, they seem to find it successfully. Now, Fnatic were hoping they would do that. Again, they were waiting for that push to come through, but it doesn't. And so 40 seconds left on the clock. They're going to go for this B split. But limited information. Luckily, they are gambling towards the right side. And that wall is going to completely block out BNJ. The blind doesn't do that much for them, and BNJ goes down. Esni following as well. That's the round secured for Fnatic. NIP have to pretty much go for a save.
Yeah, dismantled. Pick them apart one by one. A controlled and collective from Fnatic. Definitely one of the best rounds we've seen from them. Not the most exciting, but one where they didn't really give them an edge, didn't really give them any position for those players to sort of pop off as we've seen in previous rounds. And if there was ever going to be a way back in for Fnatic, it needed to be on a round like this.
Absolutely. A round like this, both in context of where it is in the game, the fiscal importance of it, but also in the context of how they won it. Flawlessly rushing into the site, taking these duels. It's systematic, and that's what we want. No gaps, clean executions. But getting that done again and again will be difficult. A lot of the time, NIP are going to have 3 players towards this B side of the map. They're not going to have somebody aggressively up in B main to be picked off or anything like that. If they play the same defaults that we've seen from them, it will be tough for Fnatic to repeat this result. But I say tough, not impossible.
No, of course not. And yeah, as I said, one of the better rounds that we've seen from them so far. I'll be interested. So the economy on the other side, obviously they do save a couple of extra guns, but it's not a spot where realistically they can invest. Although I'm saying that, I'm currently looking on our secret little bot area. I'm seeing Judge bought up for John.
So John's 2 away. They've seen it at home now. So there you go. You got 2 orbs away for John. You buy a Judge. I'm very scared because it's feasible in so many positions. Not even as a jet. I mean, the dash sure does help, but playing up above in B Heaven, for example, I'll go back to Angel. We saw that guy play that position what felt like 10 rounds in a row. Or it was God B, right, who played it literally an entire game from that spot. It was ridiculous. And when I consider John, I think, right, he can do all the conventional stuff with a Judge. He can play close and maybe try to farm an ult orb here or there. But then I sort of have this suspicion in the back of my mind that this guy is just going to be like updraft dashing in on the back of a paranoia, killing 3 people.
If I was going to guess, and honestly guessing what John does is very, very difficult,
yeah.
I would hope that he would almost go A main. Just because there's a chance to get an orb, chance to, if you hear them coming, just sit in the same corner that Boaster did. Obviously, they don't have the exact same sort of setup, but they could set some sort of smoke down. The standard would just be that he plays Heaven.
Yeah.
And then you just have the dash away. It's not really too much of a difficult position to be in. And by the looks of it, at least, that's where he currently is. So I think it's more just going to be an attempt for him to try and get something done, let the weapons play those extremities a little bit more. In fact, it looks like they're gambling them over onto that A site, which, again, Fnatic have sort of had a heavier lean in towards B over the last couple of rounds, so I don't really mind sticking the weapons there just as a bit of a guess. And in the early stages, at least, Fnatic are going to try and basically fight back into mid.
You know what, Tom? Quick shout out to Lothar at home. He was just hitting me up there before the game, letting me know. Apparently, so BNJ wants to be called BNJ, right? We get this little document from the players, and they say, like, hey, you know, the coaches or whatever will let us know. But apparently on the NIB website, it says Banjo. So I think that must be what it stands for, maybe, or what it used to be. So there you go. He's a Banjo. The Banjo boy. Fnatic moving in towards the B site. We got some aggression out of NIP. Banjo's leading the charge. He's inside of B main. And I mean, this is going to be a double push into a Vandal that Magnum is more than ready for. John, though, still manages to find one peeking into the B site. That's all that he gets done, though. Well handled. Fnatic get the site. They get the plants. Now those 2 rifles on NIP again kind of start thinking, hey, I like the A site this time of year. It's just pretty nice. Go hang out for a bit.
That doesn't seem like they're giving it up just yet, though. Both players within Heaven
have money.
Maybe hoping that there's going to be an angle to face back into Fearoth. Looking a little different to normal, but he's going to try and sneak his way back from behind. Already one ended and knows the second is there and not overfacing, but he will eventually get the final kill.
You know what I love about that? You see the way he doesn't actually peek the corner? He peeks it and then sprays at the corner, and that gets the reaction there, the pre-fire from his opponent. So he's like, all right, guys, yeah, he's up there. You don't need this, because it was a gray area. He wasn't 100% sure where that guy is, and he doesn't take the risk. I like it. I like seeing those little calculated plays. That's 7 rounds for Fnatic, an important one for sure. But even with those weapons removed, it's important to say that NIP, the reason that they did not run away and try to save those weapons in a 2v4 is because they wanted to do damage. They wanted to maybe try to clutch it out. And they knew that even if they didn't, they'll come into this round in a comfortable spot.
Already again. Patient start for Fnatic. They've done very well at just dismantling any level of aggression. Like, you're starting to see John have to play much more passive positions and not be so aggressively taking the fight as he was. Like, we saw him deep in B main not too long ago, and with the wall currently there again. This is something that basically Fnatic just have to continue to break, but they have to be careful because if Kawazin's on top of it, then it's much more of a problem.
So Rez is online for Fnatic. You've got a Rez and a Blade Storm for NIP that can come through, but it's Shanji, man. He's who I'm worried about. If this guy manages to find a kill, an orb, a plant, well, not a plant, but I'd be pretty worried if he found a plant. Let's go with a defuse on that one.
Insta-plants and just defuse it. Like, yeah, with the round.
That'd be cool, yeah, if you could just take the spike, just hide it somewhere. No, it wouldn't. That would be terrible. Please don't ever add that. 35 seconds left. Fnatic are trying to blitz in through the A side, or at least trying to fake it out. They're making some noise. They're taking down Shanji and hoping that John's going to come pushing on through and try to take that space. But John, I love this guy, man. He makes the... So a lot of players are too aggressive, right? They can't stop W keying, but John makes good decisions. And when he does get stupidly aggressive, he wins.
Oh, it could be a free kill, but it's only going to be the one. Not anything more. Again, they've managed to bait away the rotation, and it was Besney hastily moving his way back forward. A swing, though, from Boaster. Gives up the kill. And now that they've got the res, they've managed to bring things back into a winnable position for NIP. Hyber spot, though, could be everything. They need to make sure they clear him. He's faked the footsteps, though. It's so smart. They used the run to leave one player behind, and now it's all onto Mystic. Attempting the clutch, but he's stuck in the corner. The nade has done so much. There's no chance for him here. An oversight from Fnatic, but more importantly, a fantastic retake from NIP.
Man, the words that we heard from everyone essentially, puggy. That was the key term for NIP. And I'm not even going to disagree with that coming into the tournament. I'm with you. This is some of the cleanest Valorant. It's like crew tournament to tournament, the way they just turned around and went from not playing good Valorant at all to playing some of the best we've seen. This NIP is fresh-faced.
The steps in mid was so nice.
It's so smart. It really is. Everything about this is just so nice to look at. You can see all the work that's gone in, all the thought that's gone into a lot of these plays, but it's the reactive play. It's when things are now going wrong, we're seeing them recover it. We're seeing those protocols be fell back onto, and that's all I need to say that NIP is a good team. This is a serious contender.
Again, default from Fnatic, just waiting to see what sort of play NIP are going to look to try and make into this round. They've been able to catch the majority so far and just make sure that they're not going to really fall apart. The problem is with this early lockdown of the A site, you can almost gamble those extra players in towards mid and have that site anchor firmly in the B site, and Fnatic aren't really gaining much from this sort of position, but they have been able to isolate Cypher at least in a 1v1 trade in most cases. So again, looks like the same sort of pressure put in, but they did fake it the last time they did this, so I'll be curious to see if there's a rotation.
Oh, he's gone over the trap, but they noticed. It's okay. It's all good. Ready for that. Here comes the showstopper. Hyber has to wait a moment. Oh, and that actually sets off his blast pack at the wrong time. They've left the site, but at the end of the day, it's done its job. It took space, it got them on the site, but Mystic with a double is absolutely insane. All right, playing on into the Viper's pit. BNJ goes down. Besney, 10 HP left, and he's good for one. I could see so much more happening there with how these rounds have gone, but Fnatic have dealt with it. Left Shanji to clutch it.
Yeah, maybe one of the most impactful from the shadows you've ever seen. Mystic just teleports behind the whole squad. I don't think you see that work in pro play very often.
Not for about 2 years,
most of the time everyone goes, he's there, and then just turns around and kills him. But the fact that he gets a double, it basically dismantles the entire retake. And that's what NIP have been working on this defensive side is, okay, we're not going to overcommit, we're not going to overface when it comes to the initial fight. We'll fall back and play the retake. Well, if you have someone in behind you taking down 2 players, that retake falls apart.
That's some 2020 Omen play right there. It's like when you jump onto a game with some of your friends who like play Apex or CS or whatever it is, and you're just like, well, how is this guy in our spawn?
Yeah.
You'll love it, man. I remember those days. 11-8. NIP are in the lead, but they've struggled to get some rounds on the board. Fnatic are starting to really build up some momentum. And this split, although will prejudice it as a defensive-sided map the majority of the time, right here, these teams are picking up attack-sided rounds a lot easier by the looks of things. NIP have been left down to practically nothing. John, though, oh, if he gets Mystic, I'm so worried, but he's missed the first few shots. 2 knives left to work with. They're starting to realize this is a B play.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even though he hasn't got a kill, he's taken away that control. So there can't be anybody in this direction. Now, sure, they can look to split back. This has me on edge. This sort of bait and switch setup. I think they're just going to wait. No reason for Fnatic to try and make a play through this spot, especially without any utility as well. And, well, they're almost trying to set this up so that Jandy can nade them back as BNJ goes for his initial pick so that it isn't just a straight up swing and trade. The time, though, Mitch, starting to tick down. 35 seconds left on the clock, and I think the B-side play looks fairly obvious.
Oh no, the shorty's got one, and now it's up close. Swapped out to a Vandal. BNJ already got a second. Down below, he's dealt with. The Bucky's come through for more. What is that? Bezity's got a double with a Bucky, and Boaster's 1 HP. NIP have just come into this round with a shorty and some pistols, Tom, and they've won it. That's unreal. That's actually unreal. And what a setup too.
It was
the fact
gorgeous.
that you've got the smoke. How well does BNJ play around his smokes, dude? He's all the time backside on A on Ascent right here up in heaven. God, NIP are good at this game.
Wait, it's just the way that he manages to consistently isolate Jules, and then you just got this. Like, Bucky within the cage, especially because he's played an almost identical setup. Like, it's the same way that he's been sat at the back of the site almost every single round, and this time he's just there with a Bucky. Like, not going to be expecting it on the other side. 4 rounds in a row needed for Fnatic, otherwise they are going to be heading into that lower bracket match, I believe, versus Zeta, who had a real struggles in their first game versus DRX, but I think it's safe to say that Fnatic's form right now is nowhere near the level of DRX. Kawazini's not had much to do so far this game with how many B takes we've had, but the first time he's asked of, he's going to find a couple.
This is going to be tough. Already with the man disadvantage for Fnatic. No ultis in their favor. Hell, NIP don't have them, but except for the From the Shadows, and maybe that'll have huge impact based on what Mystic was doing earlier. The thing is, though, NIP can just sit down now. They've got B control passively. There's still a wall up in mid, so they know no push is coming through, but, I mean, that's going to disappear in a moment. There it is gone. And with that, you see the rotation coming over, because now there's that extra angle to watch, so Shanji's got to come over and make sure nobody crosses through. They'll even use the From the Shadows as a recon dart, confirming that no one's in mid, allowing Shanji to go back to A. Fnatic need to move, because they are running into a stack now.
Yeah, this is an ultimate trap, basically. The flash, all it's really going to do is catch the can, but they have the information. The swings there from Zanji, but he actually goes down. An opportunity, but still 2 players within that site is going to make things incredibly difficult. The timing of the peak's good for Bezini, but he gets nothing done. John, though, he's that knife in the back. They didn't know he was here. Swings out already with a couple, and it is done. It is NIP to send Fnatic